Houston, Tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started.
The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Look how courteously I'm driving. Don't forget to indicate. No need to rush. Oh, he wants to cross the road. Okay. Definitely not speeding. Oh, best indicate.
Industry filled with backbiting, bitchiness, competition and rivalry, it's important to remember that the greatest successes in detailing will come from collaboration, from teamwork, cooperating together. In fact, it's where my heart lies, in finding something to join my weathered band of warriors, if only to sit on the subs bench for when it's needed. This Klin was an introduction to a new car. Not mine, unfortunately, but I'm sure all of you will understand what I mean when I say the first Klin of any motor is like a handshake. It's where you get to feel the car out, spot its quirks, find its flaws, suss out its character and its personality. The hosts of this meeting did not come from one place. They're a ragtag bunch of new and old, tried, tested, even some new kids on the block. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have it any other way. This Klin is a documentation of my handshake with my old man's new Alpina, and I loved it. Let me walk you through this. Enjoy. I decided to start with a shot, something just to build the courage to get this thing moving forward, and for me it was a shot of Autoglanz's spritzer. Now, I'd never tried this before, but I put it in a pump sprayer, and just through habit I mixed it up at a 4% dilution ratio, so that's in this case 80 ml in 2 litres of water, and I do that off the back of using Built Hammer's Auto Foam for so long. Now, in all fairness, that was far too much for this date. It was very, very potent, and in fact on the instructions they even tell you can dilute up to 250 to 1, so I could have pushed this much, much further. And as the 50/50s will show you on this wheel, you can see the potency of this. It had an adequate dwell time. Granted, that gets edited out when I make these videos. No one wants to just sit and watch a panel with product running down it. I mean, hey, if you do, let me know and I'll make a video just for you. But I assume the majority of you don't want that. So when it came to rinsing, I did half the wheel here and I drew in for a 50-50. It made it apparent it was far too strong, but I did love the product. It does exactly what you'd want it to. Speaking of which, when you're introducing yourself to a new set of wheels, you hope for something easy, but these are a pain in the arse. That many spokes, that many angles. I had the Wowo wheel mitt, and it did make life easier, and I ended up having to bust out the Autoglanz brush as well, the bore brush, just to help. The main problem, other than all the angles and changing of direction, was the space between the caliper, in fact the whole brake disc, and the wheel.
It's too big to get between the brakes. It's insane. Plan B.
That part squared up before the second date. I mean, who knew that girth was a problem? I mean, do with the, dirty minds whatever you will with that one, but girth was an issue here getting into the gap. But between the Autoglanz bore brush, the shiny garage monster wheel cleaner, the Britemax grime out, and the Wowo wheel mitt, we got the job done. We got that thing nailed, and the wheels came up quite a treat. Other than a few areas that will need some attention, and ultimately I'm sure these wheels will attract a refurb in the future, they came up pretty well. A full removal, decon and ceramic coating will be in the works for these at some point, because frankly, with the intention with the car and the plan on keeping it and the pain of cleaning them, it's just worth doing those. So that's a video for the future, and it will be put on this channel. So subscribe and keep an eye out and all of that. That's my shameless plug over. So on to the rest of the car. The acquaintancy continues. Thoroughly rinsed down, and then the remaining spritzer was used. I mean, hell, that's really the upshot of using these pump action sprayers, is you get a lot of bang for your buck. You don't need to use as much product. It does go a long way. I've used this after this clean in a foam lance, and it does foam up actually really well. So if foam's more your thing, then by all means use it that way, and it cleans really well through a foam lance just the same. But I think really if you want to go all out for maximum cleaning power, then I'd dilute it, the correct dilution ratio, pump sprayer, and as you can see, it's shifted everything. And again, the assumption for me on this one is that there's not a lot of protection on this car. There's minimal amount of sheeting, really no beading. So Autoglanz, it was a winner. It was a wonderful part of this introduction. The next part, again, was a product that I've not used. We get onto the wash. So I have this shampoo from Waxtub. It's a pure shampoo of theirs, so certainly we're not looking to lay any protection down, even though it does need it, because we're going to put a lot of protection on this shortly. This shampoo I really liked. It had a good lubricity, certainly was very foamy. The one thing that I would say during this meeting is a little bit of perfume wouldn't have gone amiss, and that's not to say this thing doesn't have a scent and it's not pleasant. It does have a scent, and the scent is pleasant. It's just a scent could be a little bit stronger. Just maybe bathe a little bit in the old perfume before you get down to the dirty and the nitty gritty. It makes a man feel good, just a nice scent up the nostrils as you are getting your hands into the dirty areas. And then we get hands on with the car. So ODK's Concourse mitt, which I've been busting the chops of this thing for a good long while, and it's standing up to the constant use and cleans and washing this thing out, and this thing is doing really well. A big shout out to my brother Ben, who recently decided to get some oil on it, though I'm not entirely sure if that will clean out of it, but I'll give it a go, and if not, I'll pick up another one of these when I see Dan at Waxstock, which I do believe he is showing at this year. Once you get to cleaning around a car, and like we say, this is the handshake, you get to see the flaws in the paint, and that's a big part of it. And this was a bucket list car for my old man, and he loves it, and it's a real joy for him to have and to drive. But he told me, son, don't tell me about the flaws, don't tell me about the defects. Fix them, sort them, tell me when they're done, but don't point them out to me. So I didn't. But they're there. And, you know, that's the nature of any new car. And the majority, unless you're going to buy it from someone that takes the care, the level of care that you and I assume, you know, the rest of the sort of the detailing community should give to their cars, you're going to end up with something like this. Now, what you're seeing here is evidence of poor wash technique and the hand car washes. You know, this is the sort of thing the majority of people wouldn't see, but, you know, granted we are, I'd hesitate to call us the 1%, you know, I'm not even sure we count for 1% of the people. But this is the sort of thing which will be afflicted on your car with poor wash technique or just taking them to the cheapies. So it needed a little bit of a spruce up. Now for this I reached for Britemax's Black Max. Now again, never tried this one before, so it's a perfect opportunity to be introduced to this one. And as I understand it, this doesn't contain any fillers. It's just a great pre-wax that has some fine abrasives in it and can be used as a really fine finishing polish as well. Now, let me tell you guys under no uncertain terms, this thing is friggin' awesome. I mean, really, really top draw stuff and a fantastic pre-wax to boot. It cleaned up the paint tremendously. I mean, hell, I need to get this on a machine just to see what it's capable of as a finishing polish. You could feel that when using it. It had a slight abrasive feel under the fingertips. And, you know, just using it here with one of the microfiber foam pads, you can get these quite cheap off of eBay, in all fairness, and they do this sort of job fantastically well. And I have to say, I'm going to show you guys a 50-50 of this in just a second. The buffing on of this stuff, very straightforward, like really most polishes nowadays, quite oily. You know, you sort of work it in, you can see as it works, you buff it off, and it comes off really, really well. But it had me doubting it. I start thinking this thing's got fillers in it, and I've been told it's not, and I trust and believe the people that are telling me. I've got no reason to doubt them. But you have a look at this. It really brought a crispness to this paint that it was so sorely missing. It tidied up all those surface holograms. It really, really made a massive difference to me and on the finished article here. Now, it didn't remove everything, so let me not oversell it here. I'm not shooting in 4K, so you can't see, you know, the swirls, the deeper stuff, the stuff that does need to be removed. They're still there. But let's make no bones about this. From, you know, 6 foot away, taking a look down the side of the car, this thing made a massive, massive impact for minimal effort. You know, this really was a straightforward product to use. And it's one that I think will get its own video, because as a standout product for me during this introduction, it was really one that, for me, I can't recommend enough based off the back of using it. So if you guys do want to give it a try, or if you've tried it, let me know below. It was a wonderful, wonderful addition to this Klin. So these are some, well, I normally say these are some finished shots. These are some shots just after the Black Max. So it's really brought a pop to the paint. It's really cleaned it up enough for now, for me to go on to laying some protection onto it. So in this case, Britemax's Extreme Elements 2.0. Now this one apparently has got 7 times the amount of resin in it compared to the previous version, so that should make for a very durable layer. It gives a really nice finish. Mine was part of the initial batch of product, so I now have a full-size bottle of the finished, and that's something that again will get its own video. But suffice to say, with this, it goes on like a cream sealant should. And you know, if you get any sort of product like this, a liquid sealant, and it's not like applying silk butter to your paintwork, then go back to that person that sold it to you and tell them it's pants and that Luke said so. This stuff, it just goes really, really well. You load up the pad, you just breeze around the car, and it really gave me a good opportunity just to, you know, take in some of the curves, the angles of this car. And, you know, granted it's based on the E60, the previous one that my dad had, but just the same, you know, it was nice to just get a little bit handsy, not worry about, you know, really having to overwork the product or a massive amount of focus. It just made for that enjoyable step that a lot of us look for in just protecting your car. Now, it was very interesting that it said 20 minutes to an hour cure between layers, and with the sunlight fading. That did, for me, mean that I had to move on a step, but it's no biggie. Like I say, all part of the enjoyment in this particular Klin. And once applied, again in terms of removal, it was just caressing this off the paint. You know, it was no real effort. Again, a double appearance from Wowo in this case. I use their microfibers a lot for removal. I understand they've just upgraded those and improved the GSM. So again, they're at Wax Stock, I do believe. So I'll nip along to them and see what the new ones are like. But again, if you guys have experienced them, let me know below. Are they worth upgrading? Are they worth getting over these original GSM cloths? Once we'd got all of the extreme elements removed, you can kind of start to kick back. You're starting to see the thing pop a little bit. Address the tyres at this point just in case I didn't get time to do the other things that I wanted to do. In that case, it was Obsession Wax's Nero, and for a real glossy, wet look tyre dressing, I think suited the massive wheels and the finish that we're starting to chase out of this paint. So big shout to Obsession Wax for Nero. The finishing touch on this one, we decided to put some wax over the sealant, and for me I had this pot of Waxtub Evo, and I took it out specifically that morning and I'd put it on the side and I put it in the shade because it was friggin' hot on that day. And by the time I got round to it, look at that, there was like this thinnest slither of sunlight that managed to peek round the box that this was behind, and it was contacting the slitherous side of this pot, and because it's black on black on black, it just, well, it was horrible. You know, I mean, in terms of a reaction to damaging what was such a perfectly poured wax. The wax wasn't horrible, wax was lovely. But yeah, it's kind of one of those sad moments where I was like, shit, you know, if I just really melted one of my waxes, and it was sad. So do as I say, not as I do. Learn from my mistakes. Don't leave your waxes in the sun. It's got bad news written all over it. I tell you the upshot though, so every cloud and all that. One problem that I had, and like I said with the shampoo, is the same with the wax. This wax apparently has an orange scent. It smells pleasant. For me, it doesn't smell particularly strong of an orange scent, but apparently when you melt it, that really comes out of it. So if you do want to stick a wick in your pot of Evo and light it up, then at least you get a nice pleasant orange scent coming out of it. But other than that, this thing was very, very nice. As a show wax goes, it left a real nice wet gloss on the paint. It really bolstered up the finish left behind by Extreme Elements and just knocked it onto the next level. Application removal was all what we'd expect from Waxtub. They're very meticulous in what they make and how they produce it and how they test it. So I expect nothing different, and I was not disappointed. It went on really, really well. And then it was just a quick bit of glass work. A Klin glass shine was used on this particular day. But that was the introduction. That was everything that I needed to know. Now when I come to clean the car again, I know the quirks. I know the areas where I need to pay a little bit more care on the wheels and sort of the little details. But equally speaking, when I come to machine this, I know the bits that are going to need that little bit of extra effort. So I encourage you guys to do this, and I'm sure a lot of you already do, and you agree with me on this one. It is like a meeting. It is like, you know, that first handshake. And for me, I enjoyed every part of this handshake. I enjoyed every part of cleaning this car. I'm super stoked that I'm going to be able to clean it again and again and again. I'm super pleased for my old man for knocking something off his bucket list. He's wanted an Alpina for forever. And really, it's got me hankering for a V8 as well. And it's funny how it does that. You drive one and all of a sudden a straight six just isn't enough. Hell, I guess that's just every petrol head going though. So from me to you and to all of the merry men that helped in this introduction, thank you for watching. Take care, see you soon, subscribe, like, comment. I said shameless plug was over, but I lied. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Check back again soon for future videos, and hopefully see a lot of you guys at Wax Stock. If you see me there, come over, say hi, and you know, maybe a handshake between you and I would be a wonderful thing. So take care, enjoy, bye bye.